course, we got World Cup action. I'm apparently in my 9th war of the year, this time with the nice folks out in Cincinnati. And we obviously have a lot of football to get to because last night was a big night in a negative way for our New York Jetsies as New England, once Kyler Murray went down with third play of the game, whatever it was, take care of business against the Cardinals. The New England Patriots right now are the 7th seed, leapfrogging our Jets, and of course the Chargers. But there's going to be, I think, a lot of movement now between 6, 7, 8, and 9 regarding the AFC, but it ain't going to be easy. And the New York Jets now got to start winning some games. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
Screw you, DeAndre Hopkins.
You didn't like that fumble, huh?
Do I not like that fumble?
You didn't like that fumble on the return for touchdown?
Despite poor Kyler Murray, right, who I feel horrible
Torn
for,
ACL.
we all do.
Yeah.
That game was winnable. That was a winnable football game.
Sure.
And Hopkins was holding out that football like he didn't have a care in the world. Like he was basically saying, please take this from me.
It was 13-10 at halftime.
Take it away from me.
Oh.
He didn't give a rat's ass. And that was it. The rest of it was a slow death. And I know it's the Jets' own fault. If they beat the Patriots once, the standings look very different. The situation is far different.
Sure.
But when you sit down on a Monday night, after you watch Kyrie Irving do whatever the hell he wants, and the Nets roll on again, all I wanted was for the Arizona Cardinals to do me a tiny little favor.
Yeah, win a home game.
Which they never do.
By the way, imagine having season tickets to the Cardinals the last 2 years. They are 1-12 in their last 13 home games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, even when the Jets and Giants stunk for the last 5-6 years, come on, right? They'd win a couple games at home.
Nah, dude, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's putrid. Robbie Anderson tried to help out, but that play, that was the game. I mean, if you need to pinpoint a football game to one play, which we sort of did to the Jets the other day, the offsides, the Michael Carter fumble, DeAndre Hopkins, great player, just holding that football out like he wants to give out candy on Halloween. What a disgrace.
Yep. Well, listen, but it's on us, right? You said it right. You know, the New York Jets have to win football games. The New York Giants, bring them into the mix here. You got to start winning football games. Like, the New York Giants are 1-4-1 in their last 6. The New York Jets have lost back-to-back games. The game against Minnesota, where they absolutely should have won. They had a shot to make it interesting late against the Bills. So, again, if it doesn't end well for our Jets or for the Giants, we're going to have nobody to blame but ourselves.
You're right. You're very rational. You're right.
Yeah.
But on Monday night, when my derriere is planted on my couch and I'm watching a football game, I'm not thinking about every little thing.
You want Arizona to win.
I'm watching the football game. I want to watch the Belichicks lose. I like watching Mac Jones have a hissy fit on the sidelines. I love it.
I
love when he screams F-bombs into the camera.
Evan,
it's my favorite.
I think you are misreading that completely.
Go ahead.
We don't want that.
Tell me more.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Sure.
So it's now consecutive weeks where Mac Jones is basically either waving off the combination of Matt Patricia and Joe Judge,
right,
or saying, what the F are we doing, or stop running the ball as he did a week ago, right?
Right.
This is a real problem for us as Jet fans. The guy's getting into it. Now, I don't think he's ever going to be a great quarterback, but he is clearly in command. He is now a leader on that team. He's doing what everyone else is doing when they see the play calls from these two idiots, right?
Right.
This is not a good thing for us as Jet fans.
You actually make a very good point. I just think in the moment I like to see anger from the other side. But you're right. Look, Mac Jones is showing kind of this leadership role in year 2. He already knows that he knows a hell of a lot more about offensive football than the two bozos coaching the offense.
It certainly seems that way.
Yeah, you're right.
Whether it's you're running the ball too much, whether last night you saw waving them off when they're trying to give them a play, and then the camera cuts these, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Right, it's crazy. I don't want Mac Jones to get in a position where he has full command of a good offense.
I think what's really, really frustrating to me, even though I know the odds of all this happening are very slim, is that as we sit here today, the New York Jets don't control their destiny. The New York Giants do. If the Giants win their games, they make the playoffs, no questions asked.
Yep.
The Jets are in a situation, as unlikely as it is that the Patriots and the Chargers run the table, It's there. It's a possibility that no matter what the Jets do over the final 4 weeks, they miss the playoffs. And that's a hapless feeling until it changes.
Yeah.
Like until the Patriots lose to Buffalo, until the Chargers lose a game, until something happens that changes my last sentence, there's this uneasiness of knowing there's a possibility that no matter what the Jets do the rest of the way, they miss the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's
now,
an uneasy feeling.
The reality, though, is that there's a lot of commingling there. A lot of teams do play each other, especially teams that are in the AFC East. But yes, as we learned yesterday, I think it's unlikely. I think you're with me on that. But you could create a path where the New York Jets win out and do not make the playoffs, as unlikely as it is.
It's unlikely.
It's on the table.
It's unlikely because New England, in all likelihood, is the team that's not going to run the table. They still have to play Buffalo. They still have to play Miami. They still have to play Cincinnati. But the Chargers are a different story because they sort of have a soft schedule over the last 4 weeks, and they're looking healthy. So, yeah, the Jets have to win their games, and you're probably right. You go win your games, you'll get enough help. But as I'm sitting there on a Monday night, I'm pleading for help because as of right now, the Jets need help. They can't just make the playoffs on their own, unfortunately.
And here's what we learned about the Detroit Lions when they came here a couple weeks ago and beat the Giants and put a 31-burger on the Giants, recognizing that the Giants' defense is not in the same class right now as the Jets' defense. The Lions now have that little intangible, and it's called belief.
Yeah.
They believe right now that they're going to run the table, and they should, by the way.
Yeah.
They're playing really well. Their defense has gotten a little bit better. Their offense has been great all year long. They've lost a bunch of close games to legitimate playoff teams. It's funny. We always say, we're looking forward to playing Team X. We're looking forward to playing Team Y. By the way, those teams say the same thing about us a lot of times, whether it be the Jets or the Giants. Like, do you think the Detroit Lions are concerned about, outscoring the New York Jets?
Yeah.
Probably not.
But you're right that when you look at his schedule 5 weeks ago, things changed quickly. When the Detroit Lions are 1-6, we all viewed Detroit and Jacksonville at home as, those are really winnable games.
Yeah.
And you're right, with the way the Lions are playing, winning 5 out of 6, having a premier offense, this is a challenge. The thing I feel good about is that defensively, while they've been better at times, this is still a defense you can score on.
Yes.
Now, this is still a defense where this Jet offense, which at times has struggled, specifically last week, can get going.
Yeah, but for all the talk about Mike White being the guy, and it's not up for debate anymore, so I'm not bringing that up, the reality now is you got to go score 27 points in a game.
You're right.
The Jets are 1-2 with Mike White. They were 1 for 6 in the red zone against the Vikings with Mike White. They didn't put a lot of points on the board against the Bills. Granted, he was abused, so you give him a pass on that. But the offense has not produced points at a level good enough for us to now compete with teams that are a lock to score 20 points.
Listen, the facts are the facts. They've scored 34 points in the last 2 weeks. That's not good enough.
Somebody's calling you right now.
But part of the problem,
who's calling you?
It doesn't matter.
I want to know who's calling you during the show. Just show me a name.
Someone you know.
Don't say it out loud. Just show me a name.
Someone you know.
Someone I know.
Yeah.
Is calling you during a show.
The offices of someone you know.
The offices of someone I know.
The offices of somebody you know. That's right.
Is that Dr. Nicholas?
Correct.
Checking on your elbow?
I don't think it's him. I think it's his office.
Okay, fair enough.
I got a text message.
Allowed.
They needed to reschedule my elbow appointment.
Fair enough.
And I just saw that via text message. But unlike you, Craig, now I'm gonna hammer you.
Go ahead.
My phone's always on silent.
Yeah, mine isn't. Because when it's on silent, I don't know. How do I know if it rings?
Yeah, but you just saw my phone ring, and it wasn't
Only
even on ring.
It's it happens to me. It's rarely ever in that spot.
It was in your eye vision.
It was absolutely my vision. Well, that's the great Dr. Nicholas.
Yes.
That's called being a professional.
Of course, they had to reschedule.
Up, checking up, making sure you're good.
You're damn right. And my elbow's doing well, thanks for asking.
Yeah, I don't even see the tennis ball on it anymore.
That's because it shrank a little bit, but it's starting to grow back. The doc said that's normal, and he's going to stick another needle in it in a few days.
And then you're probably good.
Maybe one more time.
God, see, and you have the beauty of this?
What?
He told you everything that was going to happen, and it's happening exactly the way he described
dude, guy's an all-time great.
So by the way, Bengals fans are having a conniption right now.
Why?
I want to walk you through something.
What'd you do?
And I want you to tell me if you think this is objectionable, okay?
Go ahead.
I said this morning that there are only 2 teams that can legitimately, taking out, obviously, once you're in, it's like the lottery, anybody can win, okay? So I'm not suggesting that, a 7 seed can't win, whatever, right? That right now, the Bills and Chiefs are the only 2 AFC teams that can legitimately win a Super Bowl and I leaned, if I had to lean to a third team, I would lean to the Bengals, but they're not in the same class as Kansas City and Buffalo.
You're wrong.
Period. Stop.
No, you're wrong.
And now I'm being abused like I made fun of these people's moms.
Dude, they just beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
What?
What does that mean?
What are we talking about?
So what?
Yeah, they got
beat
lucky.
the Chiefs last year in the postseason in a game you may have recalled called the AFC Championship game.
By the way, matter of fact, Joe Burrow has beaten Patty Mahomes 3 consecutive times.
Yeah, so why would you make
Okay.
that point? You're wrong.
All right, so wrong. All right, so prior to Sunday, he had never beaten the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, so-
Are the Browns better than the Bengals?
That's not the point.
That is the point.
The Cincinnati Bengals right now, the hottest team in the NFL. They've won 5 in a row. They've won like 8 out of 9 or 7 out of 8. They're legitimately good.
I didn't say they're not good.
No, they're a Super Bowl
They're
contender.
not good enough to win a
Yes,
Super Bowl.
Dude, they went to the Super Bowl last year.
Smoke and mirrors last year.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
Doesn't this year
They won every
after-
game on the last play of the game.
Doesn't this year almost prove that it wasn't smoke and mirrors?
Not yet, it
And by the
doesn't.
way, why don't you go through the games they lost?
Yes.
Most of the games they lost this season,
Yeah.
they easily should have won.
The first game of the year against Pittsburgh with the missed extra point. Or
Game
the blocked
against
extra
Dallas,
point.
could have won that game.
3-point game against Dallas.
Ravens game, could have won that
No,
game.
but they lost.
Yeah, but my point is they're right
like,
there.
woulda, coulda, shoulda.
And they're 9-4.
Yes.
Dude, the Cincinnati Bay. Let me take your statement and edit it. Because
Right.
sometimes you need an editor, and that's what I'm here for.
Go.
There are 3 teams in the AFC that feel like legitimate Super Bowl contenders. No offense to our friends in Baltimore. I love them. But they just don't feel like one.
Lamar Jackson's out.
Especially with the Lamar
And by the
injury.
way, their backup quarterback, Huntley, is in concussion protocol.
Anthony Brown.
I'm with you on that. I have no quarrel
But
on
they
that.
also feel like a flawed team.
Yeah.
The Bengals, the defending and reigning AFC champions who beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs and the Bills, they feel like the 3 legitimate heavyweight contenders in the AFC. So if you just altered it and included Cincinnati, I'd agree with you. But to leave them out it's a bad statement.
No, I stand by it. I'm just asking you.
You can stand by it all you want. You're wrong.
But is it clear that it's the Bills and the Chiefs?
No. Bills, Chiefs, Bengals.
You think the Bengals are on the same level with the Bills and the Chiefs right now?
Yes.
A little teeny bit behind?
No.
A little teeny bit?
They're right there with them, dude.
A little teeny bit behind?
Have you watched them recently?
I watched a lot of Bengals games, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what are you confused about?
I don't think they're as good as Kansas City. I don't think they're as good as the Bills.
Kansas City.
Nah, poppycock.
And wasn't that a game where, quote unquote, Patrick Mahomes wants revenge? Where the hell was his revenge? What was it? I'm still looking for it.
Yeah, me too.
Is he waiting for the postseason?
I think
maybe?
he's waiting for the postseason.
And by the way, if
to
you're-
drop it like it's hot.
If I'm making a prediction on who comes out of the AFC,
Yeah.
I'd pick Kansas City. But I
Okay.
think the Bengals are right there.
Okay.
They're right there.
All right, so that's pretty much what I said.
No, it's not.
Pretty much.
What you said was it's Kansas City and
I
Buffalo.
said it's a 2-horse race, and then they accused me of being drunk. One guy said I had a stroke. Like, they're very mean to me right
That is
now.
mean.
And all I said was, I enjoy Skyline Chili. Have a blessed day.
Is this like an anti-boomer thing?
Not at all. No. I have nothing against Boomer.
Why don't you respect the Bengals then?
Again, see, this is the funny thing.
What?
The sensitivity and the snowflakism that's happening in Cincinnati right now fascinates me. So
No.
unless I came out and said, I think the Bengals are the best team in football and they're on their way to another Super Bowl, you're going to react, like a bunch of sensitive snowflakes.
Let me ask you a question then.
Jesus.
I'm going to put you in the same level or the same field as the Bengal fan.
Go right ahead.
Let's say there was some talking head, whether it was on WFAN or TV, that said, hey, I'm breaking down the AFC playoff race.
Yes.
And the only teams that can really get the 6 or 7 seed would be the Miami Dolphins, the LA Chargers, and the Patriots.
Okay.
That's it. And the Jets, they're on the outside.
Okay.
You would argue with them. You'd say, wait a second, the Jets are better than this team. They're right there. They should be in the discussion.
I wouldn't accuse them of being drunk or stroke recoveries, right?
Maybe not to that extreme, but you would be bothered.
I wouldn't say, you've never watched a football game in your entire life if that's your take. I mean, I could make an argument the Jets will be on the outside looking in.
No, it's not about
Could make
them
that
being
a
on the
cogent
outside
argument.
in. It's about you dismissing them. You dismiss the Bengals. If someone dismissed the Jets as a non-contender,
I said
in
the
bottom
Bills
of
and the Chiefs are 1 and 2. You pick the order. And then I could lean to the Bengals if I had to pick a third team. I mean, how am I possibly wrong on that? You bunch of nudninks.
Because they're the defending AFC champions.
Yeah, but not really.
Who are the hottest team in football right now? Are they not the hottest team in football?
Yeah, so what, do you get an award for winning 5 in a row that I'm unaware of?
You want to be hot at the right time.
Do they give you a trophy for that, Tommy? No. I was checking. Maybe you get a bottle of Yoo-Hoo for that.
And you know what's funny? And we'll all get to live it together on January 2nd, the last Monday night game of the season.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Is a game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see. We'll get to see a little head-to-head
Let's
action.
see. I thought it was called the cartoon show. Lorenzo. I mean, it's amazing how I woke up an entire nation of fans. I do appreciate everybody watching, but this is crazy.
Disrespect.
Crazy. They're 9-4. They haven't even won their own division yet. Right? Have they won the division?
Have the Buffalo Bills won their division?
I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are playing without their starting quarterback, and they've matched you win for win. What are we talking about? And when you played head-to-head, they beat you. But nobody wants to talk about that.
The Miami Dolphins beat the Buffalo Bills head-to-head. The Jets even beat the Buffalo Bills head-to-head earlier this season.
Look
So
at that.
every point you use, I can counter. I feel like the spokesman for the Bengal fan.
I appreciate that. Some partner you are, by the way.
I'm being honest.
877-337-6666. Meanwhile, back at home here, we got issues. Let's just call it the way it is. It's time to start winning some football games. Jets-Lions. By the way, the Jets favored in that game?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity?
Barely.
Oh, is it really like a pick-em type of
last
thing?
I saw was 1.5.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And the Giants, what's their deal?
They're underdogs by 3.5 in Washington. You know, the Jets have only been favored twice, like in the last 2 years.
Is that right?
I'm serious. Name the two games. Can you name them?
Kind of hard to argue against that.
No. I'm not even arguing it. It's just an interesting point. Like, they've had 2 games this season in which they've been favored.
2 games this season.
2 games this season, and a lot of games last season where they weren't. There weren't many games last year where they were favored.
Can I go back and look at their schedule? Is that cheating?
From this season?
Yeah, you said they were favored in 2 games this season.
I mean, if you're a real Jet fan, you already know their schedule.
No, okay. So I want to take a look-see so I can give you a cogent answer. Because you asked me a question.
It sort of is
I want to give you an answer.
It sort of is cheating.
All right, I would say the Jets were
2 times this season.
underdog.
And back in 2021, they were only favored 1 time. So 1 time last year, 2 times this season.
Wow.
So 3 times in the last 2 seasons.
They were favored twice this year?
Twice this year, once last year.
All
and
right.
if you want to go back to 2020, once in 2020.
I
So
don't
they
wanna
have
go
been
back to that.
favored 4 times
In 3
in the
years.
last 3 seasons.
Were they favored at Denver?
They were favored at Denver.
All right, and they won that game 16-9.
And it was one of those weeks where they were dogs the entire week, and then when kickoff occurred because of the Russell Wilson injury, that actually flipped the line. So they were going to be underdogs the entire week. By the time we got to Sunday, right before kickoff, line flipped.
Were they...
The other one's easy. If you don't know it, you should just retire.
They were favored against the Patriots here.
No.
They were underdogs in that game?
Yep.
Were they favored at Pittsburgh?
Come on. You don't know the other game they were favored in?
Were they favored at Cleveland?
Craig.
I mean, that's it.
This is sad.
What game am I missing?
The one game Mike White won.
And by the way, don't give me those like beady eye looks, all you. They're all looking at me like they're so disappointed in my answers that they're beside themselves. Go ahead.
Well, you did a good job with the Denver guess. I was impressed. And then to follow it up
pretty good, right?
Yeah, I thought that was good. And then to follow it up by just guessing every game they played, it's a little disappointing.
How we were underdogs at home against New England?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
don't
don't
remember that?
That was a big talking point.
Yeah, it was a huge talking
Not
point.
on this show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of went in, what does that tell you? It scares me.
Hold on. We were favored against the Bears.
There you go.
There you go.
Not only favored, but favored by a touchdown.
Yeah, and
So
beat them by 3
Last
touchdowns.
year, favored once only against Jacksonville and once the year before.
Now,
so being a favorite is a rare occurrence if you're the Jets.
To my defense, I did not realize the schedule went down further. So I stopped at Buffalo, and I didn't realize there were more games after November 6th.
You forgot.
I own that. That's on me. Had I seen the Chicago Bears, I would have said Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
There you go.
And by the way, when this game kicks off Sunday at 1 o'clock, I don't think it's a guarantee it goes off with the Jets as favorites.
Right now, they're favored by 1.5, you said?
That's the last I saw was 1.5, and I really don't think it's a guarantee it stays there.
I would just say, as I always say, have a plan, stick to your plan, be smart, don't chase, losing bets. Did you guys win last night or lose? By the
I
way?
went 2-0.
Oh, you are on fire,
I'm on
buddy.
fire, man.
The Big Mac, well, you took the day off.
No,
So
he
I
went
don't count.
2-0 as well. He actually
I put
sent
my
his
bet.
picks in. And
When did you send the picks in by?
Before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, he got
that's
it.
fine. Fair enough. I accept that. And how about you, Tomas?
Yeah, I went 0-2. I'm not conceding the election, but I'm 0 for
over,
like my
dude.
last 5. It's
Craig,
close to being over.
I'm running away with it.
I think it's a
I'm
wrap.
12 games above 500. He's dead. By the way, right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook, Jets are underdogs.
Wow.
It has flipped. Detroit -1. So I do think by the time we get to Sunday at 1, I think it may be 2.5.
Home doggy action right there?
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't wager anymore because I can't responsibly, but obviously we're aware of what the spreads are here. And if you have a problem, please call 800-GAMBLER. And you should never gamble alone and never borrow money from your friends to cover your losses. It's just interesting to me that like 4 times in 3 years says a lot about a franchise. Meanwhile,
even this season, in a year in which they're 7-6, they were playing well. Obviously, the last 2 weeks they lost to good teams, but close games that could have gone either way. Even with all that said, Craig, they are an underdog at home to an opponent that's under 500, as well as they've played.
well, look, they're going to be underdogs at Seattle. They're going to be underdogs at Miami. So the last game left for them to be favored, and if it matters to you, would be Thursday night against Jacksonville.
It does not matter to me at all. I used to take it as like some kind of sign of disrespect. It doesn't mean a damn thing. All that matters is the New York Jets have to go out and win a football game.
I agree. Look, Houston was a 17.5-point underdog to the Cowboys and really had them done.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the first and goal, they can't score, and then the Cowboys go on a 98-yard drive to barely beat them. So you're right. It means nothing.
And the
Nothing
Lions did what the Jets couldn't do. They went out and beat the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep, that's right. Well, that was in Detroit.
No, I get it's in a different location, but they beat them by double digits.
Yeah, they blew them out.
I wouldn't say that, but not the point. They beat the team that the Jets couldn't beat the previous week. I get where the game was. I know it's different, but the Detroit Lions, and we said this before the Lion-Giant game, so we've respected the talent on this roster for a while. They're a talented team, especially on offense.